Good evening. I'm Connor Nunez.
And I'm Matt Smith.
So, things have been pretty bad recently, uh, but not that bad. And the short version of the story is, I guess, the kids are finally learning stuff.
Nice.
They
Nice.
are retaining information, they are regurgitating information, and so maybe all will be well. I mean, in past years, this kind of light bulb moment happens. Whoa. Hello. It happens like in around March. Right now, it's happening in November. And so Keon
Nice.
numbers the letter E. And so that's about it for me. I mean, I'm flying high on that.
That's that's a solid progression for him and you.
Because it's been bad. I mean, it's been extremely bad. We've been doing the letter E for like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and
Right.
weeks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So it's just like, it's like a deep sigh. It's like, okay, now we can go on to, because right, his name is Keon,
right.
Key. So
Right.
next we will do the letter Y. And so it's like, dude, it's the third letter in your name. You've got to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Very important task ahead. Learning how to spell the name.
Right.
Yeah. Uh, I saw perhaps the I don't even know how to phrase what this t-shirt's uh
Beautiful. Perfect.
what emotion this t-shirt that I saw brought out of me earlier today. Um but it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, and Kamala Harris as a tribute to Mount Rushmore. And
So bad.
it said Mount Nasty. And at this point in life, I don't know if I could possibly hate liberals more. But I think that I sunk to an even deeper level with seeing this fucking shirt. I told someone
And
on
you
Instagram,
didn't buy it for me, even
it was
though
it was
I asked you to.
it was tiny. It was a
Matt,
good.
I would lose every
Uh,
pound that I have just to wear that shirt.
no one should own that shirt, and my hope is that it ends up getting sent to a landfill from the Goodwill that it was hanging in. Uh, but I
Man,
digress.
you really
Yeah,
didn't buy it for me then, did
I
you?
I didn't. I can maybe go on Friday. We'll see.
God. Mount Nasty? Well, it's like because it has, right, Mount Nasty. Mount
Right,
from Mount Rushmore, obviously, but
right.
it makes you think about fucking Mount Nasty. Like, no, I don't
my
want to mount any of them.
my head did not even go there, and
Yeah, I
I don't
am not interested in that at all.
I don't know. Yeah, it
Especially Hillary Clinton.
it to me just reminded me of, like, I don't know, the pussy hat era, and it's just like, guys, like, just shut the fuck up, just
The
shut the
pussy
fuck up.
hat, yeah.
The pussy hat. Anyway, we had a really fun chats with author, vintage menswear aficionado, antiques dealer, and encyclopedia, ZG Burnett.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
really,
awesome.
really fun.
Super awesome. Really,
Yeah,
like,
good
um
conversation. They, kind of we got a nice glimpse into the New England experience of growing up, and wearing the same chamois shirt that your dad does, etc. Talked a little bit about New England folk magic, which I don't know anything about, but ZG gave us a little bit of an insight into that as well. It was a really fun combo, and we think you're gonna like it. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Excellent. So stay tuned.
stay tuned. If you like what we do, and thank you for the donations that we've had come in. Connor's Venmo still is at Connor-Fowler. His PayPal is connorfowler@gmail.com. We appreciate anything that anyone wants to send. And
We're in the high 6 digits, so please help us make it to 1 million contributions.
Right. You know how we roll. Anyway,
Filthy rich in Bermuda.
filthy. Anyway, stay tuned for a great chat, and thanks for listening.
Bye-bye. What do T.S. Eliot, J.K. Simmons, and J.R.R. Tolkien have in common? Nothing meaningful. But they share this naming convention with our next guest, ZG Burnett. Writer, auction ace, Fran Lebowitz stunt double, Stamfordian, Stamfordite, contributing editor at Antiques and the Arts Weekly, menswear merchant at Ram's Head Vintage, good dresser, and much more to be revealed. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank
We
you.
literally wrote that like 15. Well, Connor wrote that like 15 minutes ago.
Matt, you always have to reveal the fucking secrets.
Well, I want to say that's how clever Connor is.
Oh my god! Wow!
Yeah.
You are too kind. You are too kind.
Comes up with this shit off the top of his dome, you know.
If you're not watching the video, I'm shaking my head.
I am not watching the video.
I was speaking to our listeners.
Gotcha. How are you today? ZG, aka Zoe, conversationally, right?
Yes, I'm doing well.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm a little bit from pre-Thanksgiving errands, but other than that, doing well. How about you two?
Yeah, solid. It's a very overcast and chilly day. So yeah, I wish the sun were out, but other than that, I'm doing all right.
And
I'm wearing shorts.
Yeah, I was going to say, Connor, I know you're coming in from Baltimore. Matt, where are you located?
I'm in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. I'm up in Massachusetts, so it's a little bit frostier up here, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna assume. What part of Mass?
I'm up near Groton, Massachusetts, which is the landmark that most people know out here.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So where are you from, and where do you live now?
This is where I grew up in Massachusetts. We moved from the North Shore when I was about 4. My mother and father's family is from out there, but they wanted something a little bit more country for me growing up, because the North Shore, if you've been in Massachusetts at any point recently, it's become very built up and has become more so even over the past 20 years. So it's in the woods.
It's been a while since I've been in like Massachusetts, but it's always I've always enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can imagine that like in the 15 years or so since I was there or maybe 10 years or so since I was there last, has changed dramatically, like pretty much everywhere.
Yes, including and mostly the real estate pricing.
Right.
Yeah, because everything's getting better in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Every last thing is getting better, and that is evidence of that, which we love on this program. We love to highlight the positives about our great world.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
Continue.
To answer your other question, I'm now living in Stamford, Connecticut.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Stamfordite? Stamfordian?
Yeah, we were trying to figure out what the proper term is.
I'm not sure. I have only lived there for about 6 months, so either way, I don't think I've earned the moniker.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you have to be there at least a year, 2 years, something like that to
use the demonym.
Yeah.
It is an awkward one. I mean, like Baltimorean happens a lot.
Is that worse than masshole? I don't know.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say which is worse.
I have an affinity for masshole because I have a bunch of friends from Massachusetts, and they kind of like reclaim that.
Well, masshole at least like works linguistically. Whereas
Yeah.
Baltimorean is a stretch to begin with, and
Right.
Baltimorean is an obvious jump. But since Baltimorean is so weak, it's like it just is a shame.
The
Well,
perks
It
of
really
Baltimore
English
are.
Orioles
language.
is hard enough to say.
Yeah, yeah. That is a tongue
Exactly.
twister. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't think Atlantan is any better either. Like it's pretty I don't know. It's just pretty boring.
And what
And
about Atlanta?
Atlanta would be way worse.
Stanforder? Well, because New Yorker is easy.
Right.
Washingtonian is another one that is like sort of logical.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Californian
And
is simply just adding an N.
but they do whatever they want, those easy breezy people.
I prefer Bay Stater personally.
Bay Stater. All right. All right. I could back that.
It's a little bit less. Well, it's a little bit more PG, let's say.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. So we got a little bit into the fit before we pressed record, but I was curious what you wore today in the inclement weather.
Well, I am wearing, at the moment, I just came in from running a few pre-holiday errands, so I'm wearing a 1960s peach-colored chamois shirt that I traded with Brian of Wooden Sleepers for at the last Alfargo's Marketplace. I'm wearing some navy chinos from Alex Mill, which is a brand I discovered recently that one of the
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, the construction's great, and I don't usually
Yeah.
buy new just because I work in vintage, so I find things that way.
Right. Right.
But there's only so many times you can run through a pair of pants and patch them
Yeah.
up, or you can only put up with so much. So this time I said, screw it. I just bought a pair, and I'm very happy with them. So shout out to Alex Mill. I'm also,
Nice.
I had on until just a couple minutes ago a stripe gold. It's a jersey shawl collar cardigan it's made in
Here we
Japan.
are.
I don't know if anyone knows that brand.
What
And
brand is it?
the strike gold.
Oh yeah, Strike Gold's fucking sick.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. And
Matt is like amazing encyclopedia, just like knows all the stuff you would never expect.
and under my chamois, I'm wearing what I guess is now a vintage Sleigh Bells band shirt because I'm at my parents' house.
God!
And everything else is in the wash.
Wow.
I saw them at my school. I haven't thought about them in a long time.
I've seen them twice. I saw them at this concert in 2010, and then I saw them recently in New York when they did their 10-year tour. So that was both fun and a little bit harrowing.
Yeah, yeah. That were you a big were you big into music at that time period? Like with that kind of like sleigh bells and I'm just thinking about the things that I heard at this retail job that were on like Sirius XMU, like Sleigh Bells, Animal Collective, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I never had Sirius, so I really only learned about new music from my friends.
Gotcha.
And
yeah.
Sleigh Bells I learned about from my high school boyfriend. So yeah, I mostly would get it secondhand until I finally buckled down and got my own Spotify account about 3 years ago.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. As I've said it before, I'll say it again. Like I know streaming sucks for the people that make the art, but it's crucial. Like it's a world that I never knew possible when I was like 15.
I just don't discover shit on Spotify.
Yeah.
What they push, at least in the genre, I guess, of music that I'm listening to.
Yeah.
It's like what they are pushing. It's like what the labels are pushing.
Yeah.
People who they're trying to make blow up or whatever. And so it's like you just hear their songs over and over again. Like, I don't want to hear this shit. I know this already. That's my like annoying Spotify opinion.
Yes, I find that you need to work at it.
Yeah.
But
it's an algorithm, I assume.
Yes, and another cool thing I discovered about Spotify is that I'm re-listening to many old bands that I hadn't paid attention to in years because they add extra tracks. They put up the deluxe version, so that's really neat.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I discover a good bit, but I also don't really listen to much that's like seem like mainstream adjacent, which I guess like Connor for you, like hip hop and rap is, I would say, the most dominant popular music right now. So like I find shit, but then you also get into a loop of them just playing like the same songs that you listen to all the time.
Well, and
And
it
it's
is the same song a lot of the time, and it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
don't do this to me, please. I
right,
know. And also, like, shuffling is a lot more fraught, I guess, than I should be. Like, it isn't actually random.
right.
So I don't know. I mean, it's always the profit motive that is causing the problem, right? It's always the invisible hand. But it just is frustrating because it's everything.
Right, right.
So you say I mean, I guess extremely involved with antiques. How long have you been antiquing? Is that your preferred verb? You picking?
Uh, I suppose antiquing is preferred. I do pick sometimes, but I have friends who will literally like will dive into hoarder houses, and that's not
Yeah.
me. That's not me.
Ah.
So I don't think I've earned, again, like Stamfordian, I don't think I've earned being a hoarder.
You haven't earned the picker distinction, the designation.
I haven't gotten tetanus at any point. I
Oh yeah.
I'm not a chain smoker. I don't have any tattoos, so I don't think that I'm allowed to be a picker.
And
But
Matt is gatekeeping that shit too. So,
I'm
so it's
I am not gatekeeping, although you outside of the tetanus, you've described most of my life. So
mostly you.
and I
yeah,
say it
yeah.
with love because I know many pickers who are wonderful people, but I do have
Yeah, there's a difference. There is a distinct difference.
yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
not that I am saying one or the other can be earned or whatever, but yeah, like there's a solid difference in people like yourself that like have a good eye and can find shit, and like going into a hoarder house. It's not for everyone.
No, I get anxiety real hard. I can't even watch the show. I'm just
I feel I feel you.
but I've been doing this probably my entire life is when my parents have brought me to antique shops and shows and things. My father used to collect early American glass, so I've really just
Oh,
sure.
like
I've
what I know a little bit about glass, but like can you shout out the types that you're talking about?
in the majority what he narrowed it down to has been black, mostly early American and some English seal bottles, so black olive,
Okay,
dark glass,
gotcha. It's
mostly
cool.
18th century and some early 19th. And sometime every now and again he'll pick up a portrait glass. This is all kind of deep for
Yeah, yeah.
idea what bottles do or are. But that's really why
Right.
I'm in it because I ended up working with antiques and artifacts later in life, and it all comes down to either my father could be constantly on alert that I would break something, or he could teach me about it and how to hold it properly, which is what he did.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, that's so good.
So
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because
you come from a line of collectors.
Yeah, you could say that. My grandmother collects as well. So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool. What does she collect?
everything. She's gotten better. She's
she's
one
gotten better.
I mean, my grandma collected like kitschy 80s and 90s Christmas bullshit. So anything that's not that is super cool in my opinion.
we do have a Christmas village, but
Of course, as most American families do.
right. At this point it's really mostly antique kitchen utensils because she uses them.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
That's
And
really cool.
she prefers them to she likes the old-fashioned stuff is what she calls
Right.
it.
Right.
So I think
Likes the
Yeah, and she loves Kachina dolls, which are the southwestern, mostly Hopi and Navajo Diné
Right.
dolls.
Yes.
We have quite a few of those.
That's really rad.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, being in New England, I had this thought while we were preparing for the episode. New England is obviously like the first place that the English settled. Have you found in your lifetime of dealing and being around this old shit that like part of that is that these things are abundant because the area is so old?
I wouldn't say abundant at in
Right, right. You can put an asterisk by what abundant actually means in this context.
hmm It certainly is more prevalent here than I'd say it would be anywhere else in the country because so much of it was made here and
Right,
people bought it or they had it made way back when and it descended and then when houses and families eventually downsize or they lose all their money, it all goes to auction or it goes to different consignment locations. But I'd say yeah, and I'm so I came in at the very end of what was the boom. It used to be a lot more money and a lot more popular to have American made type things, like probably from the bicentenary up until I'd say the late 90s, and the recession is when everything, the 2008 recession is
right,
when the
right.
market
Yeah,
tanked. And it's still steadily recovering from that. It's gone a lot better in the past couple of years because instead of I mean everyone had to deal with their COVID things,
right.
and the art and antiques market is one of the few markets that's actually been doing better and better. So
I'll say the same about vintage clothing. Like
mhm,
the on the other side of that
mhm,
is there is almost since COVID um, began, like there's such a resurgence of people like getting into it in certain ways.
for sure. And I mean we've all seen the memes on Instagram.
Right. Yeah.
So that there's definitely a split opinion on how good or bad that is. I think it's good in that people are learning
For
just
sure. For sure.
yeah just how wasteful fast fashion is, how much
Yeah.
waste we have in our lives, and then there's the downside of that there's an absolute run on this stuff now. So anyone who
Yeah.
did it before the pandemic is salty because there you can't find anything anymore. And I've definitely noticed that to some extent.
Oh, yeah, I think we all do, but it is kind of cyclical.
Mm,
Like you'll have a crazy good haul, and then it'll be dry for a week.
mhm,
But like I like to put it into the context of first, a rising tide lifts all boats.
mhm,
So the more people that are into old stuff and like trying to learn, the better, in my opinion.
mhm.
And then also, like you have to get creative, and there there's so many of these things that have been made, maybe not what you do, but like clothing in particular. A lot of the things that I'm looking for were made in the like high hundreds of thousands, low millions range, and so like even with time there's still shit out there.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. And that's how I ended up where I am now, I suppose, in that I have a very specific focus on what I buy for Ram's Head Vintage, in that I can't buy everything I find because I could very
Right.
well buy every Ralph Lauren shirt I find or every bean thing, for goodness sake. I'd go broke.
Yeah, yeah.
But
There are those things you hate to leave, but you're also just kind of like, do I really need to waste the time?
the time and the money, because
Right.
now and the thrift stores are wising up to it, so they're hiking their prices. Everything's going up, so you have to really curate. I hate to use the word curate, um,
Don't we all?
but I hate to use that word. But the thing that you have to find out, and my advice to anyone who's for some reason getting into vintage now, would be to really find what makes your brand unique, because otherwise you're just going to be another 47 variety vintage seller, and there are literally hundreds of thousands of people doing that right now.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how did you get into selling like vintage menswear with Ram's Head?
I did have an Etsy store before I decided to rename it Ram's Head Vintage, but
What?
I was doing vintage. I was doing vintage under my own name, women's 50s and 60s mostly, because that's what I was
Oh,
into.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but women's vintage is so much more difficult to sell, especially online, and it's far
Mhm.
more difficult to source because anything that's, I don't know, earlier than the 70s is scarce unless you're going to every estate sale you can. And even then, there are so many different styles and so many different sizes. It gets to be a lot really quickly. So I ended up doing menswear because I had always been enthusiastic about men's fashion. There were I I don't know how old leadership usually is, but the I think it was the 2010s of or the 2000s and the 2010s of GQ magazine used to be fantastic.
Oh yes. Oh yes. The golden age, in my opinion. Well, of our lifetime at least.
I agree. And they used to have great interviews with actors, especially, which drew me in. So then I started looking at the clothes, and that was the heyday. I mean, Glenn O'Brien, R.I.P.,
Of
was still
course.
around.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
So I learned so much from him. And that led to me when I was in undergrad getting my first retail job in a big store, which was J. Crew. And this was,
Nice.
yeah, this was the at the Copley Plaza, which is the flagship store for the Boston area. And it was before and on the cusp of when they opened up their separate menswear store across the way. It was when they were still developing the liquor store and the low shop brands like that.
Right, right.
And I was working with menswear there before that shop opened.
Oh, that's cool. So
Hmm.
that would have been like 06, 07 ish.
This was actually like 2010, 2011 because
Oh, uh,
we
did
did.
I?
Hmm?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering when the whole liquor store in Ludlow came into fruition. I thought it was earlier than that.
It did come into fruition earlier in New York.
Oh, okay, gotcha, gotcha.
It was,
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
Boston, we're very proud. We're very proud of our state, but we don't get fashion until like at least 5 years later.
For sure.
It might
I mean, same thing. Same thing with Atlanta.
right.
Why do
Yeah.
you think? Well, I mean, so like, I guess we sort of know why that is, but like, I don't know. Is it that there is resistance to it in Boston? Like, surely people want this stuff, right?
Well, it's hard to say now because I've been out of Boston for a while, and but there's always been that blue suit, brown shoes look that people still wear every day to work.
Right.
Now they just add microfiber vests and stuff, but it's still the same thing. That's what's acceptable in the office, especially in the financial district. But I think then it was still very much there was that conflict of metrosexuality and it was just coming out of the period at which people were calling each other gay instead of stupid. So
Right.
that's so gay.
Oh yeah. See, this is a great topic. Like, this is so. uh Everyone who is listening to this can relate to that, certainly, and the like throwaway usage of slurs, just all of that kind of stuff. I remember the metrosexuality thing, people being like scared of it, like it was going to come for them.
Yeah.
And no,
Just
sorry.
no, and it's like Jesus, like no one is.
Well, it's something that we've touched on before, but the same people that were like calling you the F slur for wearing like slim fit pants are keeping the fucking tightest pants on the planet
Yeah.
shape in business. And it's like, yeah, this is a really, really funny thing to witness as like a 40-year-old thinking back on my, 25, 26-year-old days.
Mm-hmm. And it's extra
Having to
fun.
buy girl jeans.
Yeah. I mean, that was even, farther back than that. But yeah, like Just how the things have flipped is continually hilarious.
And it's flipped again because now, especially in the LGBTQA plus community, it starts becoming a thing where you can call each other the F slur all you want.
Right.
And like saying something is so cringe and gay is like obviously ironic if
Right. Yeah.
you're like I have two friends who have been together, two male friends have been together for almost 10 years, and they were talking about maybe having a wedding sometime soon, but something small, and they were describing it to me, and I said, that sounds kind of gay, guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because
it's good.
It's funny though if I ever do that on Instagram, because I am a femme appearing, cishet woman.
Right.
People get mad. People get mad, but it's the straight people who are like, "That's so
Oh,
offensive."
of course. Fucking course.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
it's the same way that like queer was reclaimed, and it's like, if you don't understand that the people using this word in this context are like making it powerful for all of the years that they were called that as a slur, like, go fuck yourself.
Right.
It's always straight white people.
Yeah,
always.
it's like the slim fit pants, which were never.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And they're even worse now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I did not to take this too much farther off base, but I did a pop-up this past weekend at a brewery, and I texted Connor this. I was like, I have seen the slimmest pants on the planet on 90% of the dudes here. And I was just like, I was shocked at how revealing the tightness was for some of them. And I was just like, what the fuck?
Matt did not delve into that little tidbit.
Yeah. It was
interesting.
It was rough.
I never think about it in that context. Like, I just think like looks bad.
I mean, people complain about like femme pants not having pockets. Like, yeah, these jeans have pockets, but what the fuck can you put in there when they're skin tight?
A small Bic lighter.
Unless you've got a crass butt patch on your pants, I don't want to see them that tight.
I have a follow-up story to that. Way back.
Oh, yes, please.
Lay it on us.
There was a Levi's store on Newbury Street.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And it was the type of store where there would be 3 or 4 people working there at once, and not one of them would help you do anything. Yeah. So that may have been why it closed. I'm not sure. But my dad, my dad was working in the city at the time, and we had lunch together. And he said, "I want you to help me find some Green Day pants."
Wait, what?
Wow.
I was like, "What do you mean, Dad?" He's like, "The pants that Green Day wears." I was like,
"My God."
You mean skinny jeans? He's like, "No, just the pant. There's, they're trim cut Green Day pants." It's like, okay. We went to the Levi's store, and my dad at the time he was a runner, so he could wear them.
Right.
Sure.
Like technically, sure. And there was one he took in a couple different sizes, and there was one size in particular to what you just said, Matt, where I was like, "Dad, you cannot wear those."
Yeah. Oh God.
Please change it to something. And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Go put on the bigger size pants, Dad."
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you happen to remember what Levi's cut that was? Because I have an idea.
God, no. I that's one thing I never got straight. And I Aldens. I'm friends with people who are so into military, but I cannot keep the numbers straight to save my life.
Yeah, I feel
5'11", right? 5'11" is the slim straight, skinny straight.
No, the 5'11" is like the skinny. The 5'10" is the super skinny, I believe.
Right.
Yeah. And then the 5'14" says it's a slim straight, and then that fit sucks. Like, I've bitched about this to many people in my life. That fit is
it's just like it's like a bad in between. It's like my hair right now is like not short enough and not long enough. So it's that. The 514 is exactly that. It's
Right.
not a 501. It's not a skinny
No.
jean.
505 for life.
Yeah. They still have mine captured. I sent mine away. I sent my 505s away to have them like whatever, some kind of rewoven, patched something. And this person was like, I'm sorry, I'm in Asia for the next week and a half. Like, I don't know when your pants will be done or when I will be back. So just like, they told me I could come and get them today and they never responded. So I just want my pants back.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, these pants which Matt gave to me, they're very dear to me. So it's sadness that they have kidnapped them, gene napped.
Well, aside from being my dad's personal stylist for most of my life and working at J. Crew, later I worked after grad school. I was working at Port Northampton out in Northampton, Massachusetts, with Ben Glushin, who is still out there. He's going to be out there for a little while longer, so give him a look. But I did that, and that was more of a unintentionally androgynous store, like before gender free was a thing. Ben was
Right.
real. He had his finger on the pulse there, and that was a fun experience. And then after that, I worked at the Andover shop for
Oh,
a little while, and
the fabled Endover shop.
mm, and then during that time, I just kept coming. I learned a lot, and I kept coming across some great things and what on my travels. And I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to switch to menswear. This is what I'm gonna do. And yeah, since then I've been doing this as kind of a side project.
Hell yeah.
Wow. How did you get into the Andover shop? I mean,
My dear friend Eric Twardzik, who was writing for ivystyle at the time, put me in touch with the then editor Christian Chensfold, and I was writing for ivystyle for a little while, and while I was doing that, the job for Andover shop came up. I don't know if they still advertise on ivystyle, but they did then. So they had the ad up, and I applied, and I got it.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah,
then
were you active during like the kind of like hashtag menswear blog explosion?
I was a lurker, big
You
time.
were okay. But I
Because
mean, if you're writing for Ivy Style and other things, I feel like you would have been, you would have been like, or the things that you wrote would have made the rounds.
I came in at the very end. I think it was a year, maybe 2 years before Christian sold the site.
Gotcha.
And that was when it was getting a little bit better. But anyone who was around during hashtag menswear knows Ivy Style was a snake pit.
Oh yeah. That and Ask Andy are
Oh, yeah, I never
two.
looked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
two. I never posted on either, but yeah, I lurked on both, and
yeah.
just I don't know. Sometimes like it made Reddit look playful in a lot of ways.
Yeah, yeah.
wow,
I
that's
know
like harsh invective.
a lot of that has moved over to Reddit now since Ivy Style is
Which is, yeah.
I don't know what's going on there anymore. But the the comment section is essentially what kept me from trying to contribute before then in Ivy
Gotcha.
Style or in menswear at all, because it was just frightening how these men interacted with each other online. So I just kind of bypassed that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't blame you. Don't blame you at all.
No, I don't have the heart for it. Like, people on Instagram are nice now, so it's kind of like whatever. I mean, if people are talking shit, then they're doing it in not in public, which is good,
Mhm,
and how things ought to be, I guess,
mhm.
or how I would prefer things to be in any event.
Mm, yes. So after that, when I left the Andover shop, Stefan Carson of Alfargo's Marketplace contacted me through my Ram's Head Instagram, and I've been doing that for over a year now.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been fun. They're a great group of guys, and I've met so many cool people that I otherwise would have only known online.
Right. Yeah, you're definitely you're geographically at a good place to like connect with a good, cross section of vintage and menswear aficionados.
Yes, it's been great. That's one of the reasons why I have settled in Stamford for the time being, is because it's so close to New York.
Right. Yeah,
But it's
you get the best of both worlds.
Right.
I like the weekly auction roundup, which I was going to ask about, I guess. Like, how long have you been doing that? What sort of propelled you to do that in the first place? I guess looking at auctions all day.
Yes, I that's sadly defunct just because I'm no
Right.
longer working at the Antiques and the Arts Weekly newspaper full time. But when
Mhm.
I was looking at thousands of objects on online auctions every single day, just for what I was covering as far as
Right.
the shows went, as far as what was coming up, as far as who I would need to talk to. So you really had to have a grasp on what was being sold in these. And as we've talked about, I'm a collector, so there are things that I love but never could afford or wouldn't bid on anyway, but I thought they were cool. So I've tried to find a way to incorporate that into my own social media brand. And that the weekly auction roundups just became a part of that. But now, unfortunately, that I'm not doing that every day, I had to
Yeah.
backseat.
So, are you dealing with mostly online auctions, or are you actually going to like local or regional auctions?
It was mostly online. Because I'm only a contributing editor now, I was associate editor, but then when I dropped down to freelance, I took a different role. So I'm no
Gotcha.
longer yes, I'm mostly just covering in-person shows now and cover stories.
Okay.
Magazine. But when I was doing it, I did attend a couple of in-person auctions if they were particularly large or featured a prominent collection.
Right. Yeah, we were trying to figure out what the general vibe of the like antiques and like high end art auctions, like who would be drawn to that, like what would happen. But I guess most of it is online these days. Like not so much in person, unless it's like you said, some like meaningful collection.
Right. They do still come out, especially to it's the higher end auctions and
Sure.
some of the lower end auctions as well that happen say every week pretty much out of a church hall. People will show
Right.
for those.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I'd say for what I was doing, as far as auctions go, I was doing mostly American folk art, Americana, and that
Okay.
is usually boomers and up.
Right.
Boomers and up. Boomers and
Boomers.
up. Nice phrase.
Yeah.
It is starting to change as millennials, especially, are becoming more active in the antiques and museums world in the United States and becoming more prominent as collectors. There was just that a book that came out by Michael Diaz Griffith called The Young Antiquarians, or The New Antiquarians. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to check that. I keep forgetting. I keep messing up the name. I'm sorry, Michael. But I interviewed him for the magazine, so I really should know it better. But he has highlighted quite a few people, and I'm not sure if he's doing a second book, but there are definitely enough now that have a cohesive and rather large collection that it can be put into a beautiful coffee table book like he's created.
My brother, my youngest brother, is like 21, I think,
Mhm.
and he like doesn't buy anything new and like hasn't for a while, like for years. He goes to estate sales and auctions and all kinds of stuff. Like, I think it's amazing that his reflex is like not to go to Amazon. It's
Mhm.
like, I want to buy something that is already extant, which
I
I
think
just
that's
think is
great.
like the best part of the vintage or used buying.
Absolutely. And especially now because I can't believe how much things from Target cost.
Oh my God. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I thankfully have not stepped into Target in years, so
Well,
I'm not with you, but I know what you mean. I know.
Or Amazon or wherever. Everyone knows everything's fucking very expensive.
I don't
yeah,
use Amazon either, but yeah.
Hey,
Everything.
Matt, how much does a pack of cigarettes cost? Does it cost
My,
more or less than it did
oh,
last year?
I'm not even being facetious. I was just making a stupid joke, but yes.
Right. Right.
I mean, I will say my smokes that I get have gone from 2 for $5 to 2 for $7 in like the span of 4 months. So,
And
wow.
that's as outrageous that you were ever paying $2 for $5 for
I
anything,
mean,
frankly.
they're not good.
What are they? Are they Mavericks?
No, they're Marlboro's cheap line.
Oh dear.
Because
Oh dear.
I smoked reds mostly, and they're Marlboro Black full flavor, and they were where I go they were 2 for $4.87 for like 3 months, and that's why I switched. Anyway, sorry, I did not mean to
Beautiful.
go off on a
Yeah,
cigarette.
beautiful. Beautiful. I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah, Zoe, what do you like? What do you collect? You just referred to
Yeah.
yourself as a collector. What's your passion?
I've gone through a few different collections in my time, and
As we do, as we
yeah,
do.
right now I'm mostly focusing on Staffordshire dogs, the Spaniels, but
Okay.
Oh,
because
those are the ones. Yeah, hell yeah.
yeah, with mantle dogs. Yeah, and
Yeah.
those I do have a few intact pairs, but what I prefer are the what we call broken pairs, where they've lost their partner a long time ago, and or if they're
Okay.
Wow.
really beat up or otherwise imperfect. I really like those for the most part because I'm cheap, but also because I really like the life that they've lived.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and I like getting them together into their own little pack. I think it's cute.
Yeah,
Um,
it's adorable.
yeah, I'm also collecting right now Daruma figures. Do you know what those are?
I don't.
No.
You've definitely seen them. They're the little Japanese guys. They're big round red heads with big white eyes and mustaches.
Huh. How do
Huh.
you spell that? DARUMA?
Darduma, and they're made at a specific monastery in Japan, and they're used for it's I always get it wrong, but you paint you think of a task that you want.
Oh, okay. I know what
Yeah,
you're talking about.
yeah,
I
you
don't
think of
think I've seen these before.
oh really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
the, the
They
point of
look
that
sort of familiar, but I feel like the like that I have not seen.
ah, well, you think of a task you want to achieve, you paint on one eye, and then when you've achieved that task, you paint on the other eye, and then you burn them.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's
Matt, we've
that's
got to start doing this.
that's intense. That's
We've
Yeah.
got to
intense.
start doing this. Then we'll get our stuff done so fast.
I don't like to I don't want to
You don't
destroy
want to destroy something?
no.
I think that's
Yeah, I don't know about it either.
it's part of the Shintoism letting it go, having
Yeah.
Right, right.
it's run its course,
But
it's done.
but we as collectors, we have a problem letting things go.
True. Well, that's the funny thing. Many that I find that are older vintage are they have only one eye, so
Uh
they didn't
They were
finish.
never completed.
didn't
Yeah.
that's the story right there.
Hmm.
Like the the
The
back
incomplete
string.
Dharma
Yeah,
dolls. Yeah.
incomplete. Like, man, that's sad.
Yeah, and another piece that I'm always looking out for. I really love anything tortoiseshell, like authentic tortoiseshell, and that's where I start getting into the higher price points because that stuff
Right.
that's still pretty. Of course, because you can't make it anymore.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Am I stupid? Am I stupid? Is it from a turtle?
Yes.
It's from a tortoise. Yes.
And
I mean, yes.
if you don't want your day ruined, don't look up how they made it.
Yeah. Do not. I for whatever reason I thought that was illegal to sell.
It's gone through. It's like ivory or scrimshaw, which is the whale's teeth with the images on it.
Yeah.
I'm explaining more for the listeners who may not know, but
for sure.
Yeah.
It goes through different. It honestly changes by presidential term.
Oh.
And it's also a state thing. The last time I checked in Massachusetts, you can sell things like coral or scrimshaw or ivory, like specific types of ivory, not elephant ivory. That's a whole other thing within the state, but you can't sell it out of state.
Okay.
It's all
This is like some Cruella de Vil knowledge.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it comes with the territory working in auctions, which are inherently evil. And then
why do you? Well, so I was thinking a little bit, not a lot of it. This is not a fully formed thought, so beware. But like, I was thinking that an auction is a little more, at least straightforward, than our like buy stuff.
it depends on which auction house you work for, but it's a cutthroat business. Don't.
Yeah.
It's
rough. I guess I should know that kind of instinctually.
And that's just kind of how the arts are and have been for a very long time. And people are trying to change that for the better. I mean, I left museums and auctions a while ago just because I didn't want it that bad. There are people who work their whole lives to do it, but I'd had enough. So yeah.
No, that's like we've talked to people who've said some things similar, right? Like I've worked to be a part of this industry, and like I do not want to be a part of this industry.
No, and it's very much still a pay to play industry. If you want to do well, you have to have a blank checkbook in order to sustain yourself, because you're going to do a lot of unpaid hours. You're going to do a lot of minimum wage hours in one of the most profitable businesses on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like the film industry.
It's similar, I'm sure.
It's a lot like a lot of those industries that are staffed by like rich legacy people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I could go on, but we're talking about fashion, aren't we?
Yeah, we're talking about whatever comes up.
Yeah, we're talking about everything. Like I think that. So what do you think you want to do next? I mean,
well, I've been working on this project called the Preppy Witch Primer for a few years now, off and on.
Right. Yeah. I figured out. Yeah. Hell yeah.
While sifting through paying jobs. But I'm finally at a point now where I am talking with someone about possibly getting it published. So,
okay.
Oh my God.
Having finished my final draft, I've been talking to people, and I've had some interest from a couple of different parties. So, I'm seeing how that goes, and then going to begin the editing process, hopefully within the next year, just to get the first draft a little bit more polished and even toned. So that would be the first, and aside from that, I'm currently working as a cataloger with a private collection in Connecticut. So balance two roles.
So we would be, dumb not to ask, what is the Preppy Witch Primer?
It's a guide to New England folk magic, as I have worked and experienced it for the past 20 years of experience mostly. And it's a guide, and it's really just a basic book that answers all the questions for people who are afraid of what the neighbors might think.
That's a great description. Holy shit.
So it's there's Sorry, go on.
So I think I understand where the word preppy comes from, given what you just said. But so is it basically like New England folk shit for um middle class New Englanders that are pretty normal? Is that basically what I'm hearing?
Yes, it's for people that say you go to Salem. I got the idea was solidified for me when I was standing in line at a
Oh, because of the witches.
because of the witches.
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry.
Oh, no
Did you
worries.
just put that together?
I just put the Salem part together. Yes. I was like, where does this come from? This is so interesting. I like this idea. I've never heard of this before.
You're obviously not a masshole.
Yeah, clearly not.
You're not a
Clearly
masshole.
not.
You're a Baltimorean.
Right. Exactly right. Right. Well, go on, please, after I've humiliated myself again.
It means you just haven't had it shoved down your throat since you were 5 years old. But the thing about that is also that the Salem witches weren't actually witches. And that's a whole other thing that's going to be addressed.
Right. They were just like probably cool chicks doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like collecting rocks and mushrooms.
They were Puritans. No, that's a whole field of study that I'm going to try and briefly touch upon within the context of the book. But the idea was solidified for me, and my key demographic was pointed out to me when I was standing in line when they were still limiting people in shops in Salem. This was post-pandemic for around the Christmas season. And there's one shop in particular in Salem on Essex Street called Coven's Cottage that you get a lot of different shops in Salem that are like kind of gift shop witchy, I'd like to say. It's just broadly whatever. But then there are some that are hyper specific and serious because they're run by practitioners of whatever denomination they're currently selling or teaching about. Coven's Cottage is one of those that is specific, like folk magic from all different backgrounds, mostly European heritage of different kinds. But there was a pair of girls in front of me, young blonde college girls, wearing their sweatshirts and everything, that they got split up because one friend could go in and one friend couldn't because of the capacity. So the friend that went in, she exited very quickly. And her friend asked her, what was it? What happened? And she said, "It's really cool, but I don't know what I'm looking at." And then they both left. And I was just like, that's my key demographic. It's for people who are interested in this and would like to have more spirituality in their own lives, but are intimidated or just don't know even what to ask, like what questions to ask. So
Okay.
The Preppy Witch Primer is a very easy book for people who would otherwise like think, you don't want your friends to think you're weird.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
This is such a great idea. Yeah, I love it.
It really is. Because I mean, also that would be great for me because I know very little about any of this shit. So like, yeah. Oh, cool. This is a thing that like exists and people are super into.
Yeah, and it's also because I grew up in the forest, in a forested suburb. My default is kind of preppy. Like I remember ordering from the LL Bean catalog. That's how far this goes back. But I tried on all my different phases. I mean, no one got out of the 2000s alive, fashion wise.
Okay. I gotta say that's the name of this episode. No one got out of the 2000s alive.
No, we're very lucky in so many ways that much of what we wore, or there are pictures that aren't up on the internet. That's how
it was not documented. Yeah.
I mean, I will forever say that I'm really happy that my Jinko phase has very little photographic evidence.
As does my goth phase. It's not out there. It's
Yeah.
not on the
Dude, you gotta and the Jinko shit. I mean, the Jinko stuff. I mean, unbelievable. Like, please.
No. When I see like
You're
Gen
too
Z,
proud.
when I see Gen Z wearing that now, I'm just like, guys, if
You were doing that before it was cool, even.
No, I'm like, if you knew now what I know now, you would realize how insane you look.
They're gonna be fucked up when they're looking back, and like, if we make it 20 years on this earth, when they're looking back and they're like, remember in 2023 where I was ironically wearing Jinko jeans? I don't want to be present for that discussion.
Same.
Well, that's kind of the sad thing is like I mean, Gen Z has a lot going for it. I think
for sure
their perspective, I think we need in a lot of I just feel kind of bad that they're recording all of their thoughts and phases on TikTok now.
Oh, yeah.
It's never going away.
Yeah, so, a lot of my phases were hosted on various websites to post onto, a fashion forum, like in the like mid-aughts.
Right.
And I'm really happy that I've lost a lot of photos that way. But yeah, this is gonna be an unprecedented thing. And it's like, yeah, if we make it 15 years, you're gonna see some random TikTok where you're wearing like kickwear or like whatever, I don't know, some terrible Y2K fashion, and you're gonna look in the mirror and really be sad.
And there's gonna be the oceans are gonna be boiling, and the
air
I mean, it's gonna be black.
Maybe
be like, fuck, the Jinko jeans were really those just were not flattering cut.
Yeah, it might not matter at that point in time, insofar as being an important thought, but yeah, they're gonna realize that like probably not a good idea to just document everything all the time.
Yes, I mean, it was bad enough that LiveJournal existed, that Elftown existed. What else? Fanfiction.net still up there. It's still accessible. So for everyone who
Neopets,
on
Neopets.com.
I wonder if my LiveJournal is still up. Holy fuck.
Let's see.
Angel Fire is on, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Angel Fire. Thank you for that reference.
LJ is still up. They have a new
No, I meant my LiveJournal, my personal one.
Oh boy.
I'm
not gonna try to get that URL on air, but I'm very curious about it.
Please no one dox me if you know what it is. I don't even remember what my last one was.
I gotta talk to Eleanor.
I don't think Eleanor knows, because like I don't know her from that, that part of my life in like late high school.
Yeah, I burned all my journals because I was mad and sad.
Yeah.
So there's no record of them.
I wrote mine on the internet so they live forever, which is a great idea.
But anyway, so I'm still very I still consider myself a very interior goth, but I've moved through all these spaces, so I feel as
interior goth.
Very much so. I mean,
you have that a little bit though. It's like I don't know, snarky. More than snarky.
Well, that's kind of the point of what I'm trying to make with the book, is that there is not, as far as the preppy culture goes, I'm of course doing it from a white WASP woman, what do you call it? Yeah, WASP. I used to hate the term WASP, but it is really convenient.
It works.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is from a WASP cishet femme appearing woman's, as far as everybody knows, perspective. And, the having that kind of packaging and delivering for this sort of thing is very important, especially if people they go to Salem. Those shop girls can be really intimidating, and some of them are my friends, but I can understand how you wouldn't want to go and ask them a question when you look like me.
Right.
And I've been snarked at and rebuffed by a bunch of baby goths and baby witches over the past few years. It's like when Ron Swanson in Home Depot. It's like, I know more than you.
Oh yeah.
What did you say by baby goths and witches?
Baby witches. That just means like people who are new to witchcraft.
Right.
No, I know what you mean. I just like there have been a lot of good turns of phrase so far, and I have written many of them down.
I move
That's
in a lot of
part of
different
my job.
just as part, yeah, just by virtue of my interests. I move in a lot of different circles, so I pick up these terms from all over the place. And I'm shocked that anyone, including myself, knows what I'm talking about at any given time, because sometimes I don't even know.
Language is good. Language is
Yeah.
like the reason I'm still alive. It's like you can find like funny words to say, funny phrases to say. Ha! That could sustain me forever.
Hey, it's much better than me quoting a Mitch Hedberg bit for literally
Right.
any situation in my life.
Right. But also applicable.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can close out. I was gonna ask about Jack Kennedy portrait. I was gonna ask about if you had other things you just can't get rid of. I don't know. I guess that's like sales trends.
One I was thinking of that really surprised me, and this has gone on for a couple years now. So I acquired from a prominent local collector a Murray's Toggery Shop 1960s or 70s Madras jacket
Ooh.
that I have not been able to sell either online or in person for about 2 seasons now.
Hmm.
And I
What
picked up
size is it?
it's like a 42.
Hmm.
And I have other jackets of the same era that have also not gone. Other Madras jackets that I've brought out for the past 2 summers, and no takers. So despite all of the complete the complete effusion of Mad Men photos, and J Press always does well with Madras and places like that, every March where
Right.
they decide it's
Right.
summer now. I still have the Madras and I don't understand why. So you tell me.
I wish I knew.
Evan.
It,
Tell us
there
what.
are. I mean, I don't really sell, like, I love tailored clothing. It is something, especially like old stuff like that, like from Murray's or Andover Shop or whatever. These like fabled stores.
Mhm,
A Madras jacket is like a cherry on top.
mhm,
I never buy that stuff to sell
mm,
because no one ever buys it when I've
mhm,
tried, and it's so sad to me, like the things that we hold on to that, like, we're excited about. You're like, fuck yeah, this thing's cool as shit.
mhm.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, it's odd because I definitely buy Madras for myself and I see other
Right.
people buy. So
I see
it's
lots of people wearing Madras, but
mm,
sadly, no one gives a shit when I float that idea out there.
mhm.
Tragic.
I know.
It's just tragic. Listen, I would try it on at least. I mean, I have never had any Madras anything, even though it would, I think, be an
It's
obvious
right up your
choice right up
alley.
my alley,
Yeah.
right? It's like maximalist, let's say. People have other worse adjectives that they use to describe me, but maximalist I think is fitting in that context.
Mhm. Well, I bring them out every season. I don't feel like, I'm not going to throw them out. So,
Right.
and you'll
They're
definitely
not going to get any less cool. You just got to
Mhm.
wait for the cool to come back around.
Right. And until I run out of clothes to sell, I mean, that's where I'll be.
Hell yeah. Well, Zoe, this has been super fun. I really hope you feel the same, even though we went down some weird tangents.
No,
Uh,
it's fine.
nice. We always like to give our guests a chance to shout out something that they would like to. So here's yours.
Well, thank you. I think where I'm most active is Instagram at ZG Burnett, where I will be updating followers and whoever cares to take a look at for my Preppy Witch primer coming out. Everything will be announced there, and I've been dropping reels of tarot cards I've been designing as a promotional plug for Preppy Witch as the Preppy Witch Tarot, which has been really fun to draw and design. people have asked me if I'm going to do a deck of that. I don't know yet. I'm almost done with the Major Arcana cards, which are it's only a limited number in the deck, and I am planning to release a line of merchandise with some of those designs soon.
Hell
So
yeah.
yeah, so go on ZG Burnett for that, ZG Burnett. And if you're just interested in the vintage menswear, which I do keep separate, because you try telling a 65-year-old dad, oh yeah,
Oh,
and
I just got a flashback. Sorry.
oh, to what?
That just reminded me of being working in a very, very old shop here and being like a, coming out of a hashtag menswear weirdo and trying to sell things to people above the age of 70.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
So
only interact with children, so it's a
That
different problem.
also that terrifies me just as much. But anyway,
Mhm.
continue. I'm sorry, Zoe.
No, not at all. So if you prefer just to go into the menswear portion where it's just very, very straightforward, that's at Ram's Head Vintage on Instagram. I do have some things on Etsy, and I will be updating my shop when things get a little bit less insane as far as markets go. So that will be in the next couple of months. And other than that, I update both pretty regularly. So follow me there.
Yeah. Give them a follow. And once again, thanks for coming on and chatting with us. And we will be shouting out all the sides that ZG Burnett encompasses.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, of course. Yeah, everyone, thank you for listening. I am Matt Smith at Rebels Rogues.
And I'm Connor Nunez at Real Connor Nunez.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, or you just want to say hi or send us a stupid meme, apocalypseduds@gmail.com, at apocalypseduds on Instagram, and we'll see you next week.
Toodaloo.